Alex and Leila Hormozi are about to have a kid, and I would bet money that the business model that Alex promotes as the gold standard is going to change in the next 2 years. And it's not because the old model was wrong. It's just because the model that you build when you're 25 and you have nothing to lose is not the same business model that you build at 40 when you have 2 kids and a life that you actually want to be in. And I know because I've built both. I built the first one with all the funnels and the sales calls and a team and a free community, a free Skool community. And you scale and you scale. And I won Skool games 3 times doing it, and it worked. And I hated it. So last month, my business did $102,000 without any sales calls, without any funnels. I have 1 executive assistant, a stack of AI agents and automations, and working just 4 days a week. And 2 years ago, I made less than that with a full staff, a calendar full of calls, and a genuine resentment for the thing that I'd built. And maybe you can relate. And if you're watching this video, like maybe this is happening for you. Like if you've been at this for a while and you're still trying to grow, and what you're actually doing is just more of what you did when you started. Like you're just doing more posts and more calls and more funnels and more people, and you're tired. And if that's you, it might be because you've just outgrown that season and that business model like I did, and maybe like Hormozi is about to. And once I realized that that's what was going on, I made 9 shifts that have changed everything, where my profit went up, my hours went down, I actually like my work again. And 8 of these are business related, but the 9th one is the reason that the other 8 worked, and it's got nothing to do with business at all. And so I'll get into that at the end, but I'm going to start with the one that cost me the most to learn. And all of these shifts, they exist within these kind of 4 bigger ideas, which is the money truth, the money model that I was using, the machine, and then what I'm actually doing this for. And so I'm going to unpack each of these one by one in hopes that the shifts that have significantly helped and improved my business and my life, maybe they might be of help for you. And so the first big one was around the money truth. And what do I mean by that? I mean that before this, I was so focused on the revenue, like making sales and this top line. But the only thing that actually matters is the profit. And so the old way was I was focused on top line revenue, but it's just a vanity metric. And really it's shit if there's no profitability. And so you can have one-off revenue months and you can have like 100K and you can show the 100K stripe, image. But if there's no margin, it doesn't matter. And most people, if you notice online, like they don't actually show the profit statement, like the bank statement. And it's why, what matters is not the screenshot, it's the predictable profit. Like can you predictably create profit month over month and actually grow your net worth? All right. And so the shift, a big reason that I burned everything down 9 months ago was, yes, like AI was here and I could see an opportunity, but also the business model that I was running before was not profitable, especially like when you accounted for the taxes, like it wasn't profitable. And once I saw that, I knew that I had to rebuild the whole thing in a simpler model with profit as the core metric to follow. And so how did I actually do that? Well, I actually hired an accountant. I actually hired a bookkeeper. I did the scary thing. I'm going to reconcile my books. And truthfully, that's actually still in the process for me, dealing with the taxes. But I'm clear on it. And what I'm clear on is like that model was not profitable. Okay. And I also created a tax account. So I started paying the tax beforehand, before it just came due in a big giant lump sum. And something that I have done for years is the business might be volatile, but I've always paid our family like a consistent income that is like within our means. And the business might have volatility, but our like family household income, it never really does. And so we've also like kept our household income relatively, inexpensive. And I did a video of this last week where I showed, we had $102,000 in revenue for the business. And yet I still just paid our family 15,000. All right. And so sometimes you look at those big numbers and it's not what the founder takes home. And I think that's something that just needs more transparency, more clarity around. All right. And so, yeah, this is what I'm saying here. Here's the numbers, right? 102 contracted, 74 cash collected, and that's $15K for our family to live on, and that's after taxes. And so, 102K is what was sold, but this is what we live on. And so the thing to remember about this is like profit is the only scorecard that actually tells the truth. All right. So this was the first big shift, was the shift from focusing on revenue to focusing on profit. So the next shifts that I made were all around the money model. Shout out to Hormozi, who literally wrote the book on this. But looking at, a more mature model, some of the shifts that I made within here was shifting from using funnels to just using Skool. Why? Primarily because it's simple. All right. And another shift was only having a free community to having a paid offer or a paid community. And then shifting from sales calls that jam-packed my calendar to running workshops for more leverage. And I'll unpack each of these. All right. So when it comes to the funnels, I've used every single kind that you can imagine. All right. I've used the funnel workshops, the VSLs, the low ticket, the challenge funnels. I've tried them all. And the challenge, they all work, but they are like technical and they break and there's lots of moving pieces. And if I want to pivot or do something different, I have to rebuild everything from scratch. But if you think about like with Skool communities, you can have a number of different things. And I have 3 links. I have 3 links that I use. There's 3 places that people go, and that's it. And so it's simple, and you think about, Russell Brunson really got me with that. You're just one funnel away, but the truth is I was thousands of funnels away. So many funnels. And I've recently just deleted all of them because of the question, like, what would it look like if my business could be simple? And what if I could just use Skool? Like, is it possible? And it turns out that I can, and it works really well. All right. So I have 3 links and I have 3 places that I direct people. One is a free community with all of my free resources. Then I have a paid community where I mostly run paid workshops out of, and those are my paid resources. And then I have my inner circle community where I coach and I work with my clients. By the way, speaking of free resources and community, if you want this document, it is inside of my free community. The link is in the description. You can go to the free community and you can get this resource plus all of my courses, all of the resources from Instagram and from YouTube. They're all it's one link. It's all in there. So you get this plus everything else that's in there. And here's a cool thing that you might not know is inside of my free community, I have an AI coach, Dan, who is trained on all of my courses and curriculum and my knowledge bases. And you can talk directly with him inside of the chat and you can ask him questions and he will tell you where resources are and he will coach you and he will help you. All right. And this guy is totally for free. And it's just inside of the Lifestyle Founders group. All right. So I have a free community. It's where all my free stuff is. Okay. And with those 3, I have nothing else. Okay. And I run ads to the paid community and I run retargeting ads to my inner circle community. And that's it. The VIP community is set up like a VSL. The paid community is set up for paid workshops. The free community is set up for all the free stuff that I give away. And the line to remember is it can be simple. Okay, you don't need more funnels. If you just have a simple place where the business happens and you can give away stuff for free, you can give away stuff that's paid for a little bit of money, and then you have the place where you deliver your service or your program. Okay, so that was the big shift, is doing all the fancy funnels to just doing Skool. And then before, I only had a free community, and there's some pros and cons with that. And we added a paid community, and that's been awesome. So the old way, all right, this has been the way that I've run my business forever. I love this Frank Kern quote. The best kind of marketing is you just show people that you can actually help them in advance and for free. And I always just held on to that, and it worked really good. And the numbers on that was, I always thought of this as like generosity as a growth strategy. So I will give freely to the 99%, and I will monetize the 1% who can afford to pay me. And that is actually true. And after having AI scrape through all of my data, what I realized was 0.8% of the members who joined my free community eventually ascended and became some kind of client. And so if you think about that, that's a lot of people, right? I have 13,000 people in that community. That's a lot of people that I talked to who never became a client, who never paid me anything. And so it works, but there is a grind factor to this, okay? And so the shift that I made was I still have the free community and I still get clients from the free community, but I just added a paid workshop community, and I run workshops in there once a week. And what happened was that by putting a $47 filter on the front end, it completely changes the people who come into that community, and the behavior is different. The speed at which these people act is much faster. I can tell you that 7% of the people who come into a paid community ascend into a higher ticket or program. That's significantly greater than the free community at less than 1%. Okay, but maybe the coolest part, and what I realized was a big shift between running ads to a free community versus running ads to a paid community is I'm now making money to grow my paid community. It cost me about $25 to $30 to have somebody pay me $47. So I'm making $10 to $20 every time somebody joins that community. And in the free model, I would spend $1,000 on ads to maybe get a client down the road. And so the thing to remember with this is a paid community doesn't just create revenue, it creates better leads, and you get your money back faster. All right. And so this was a huge shift, going from free only to free plus paid. Okay. And the last thing is sales calls. Now, there's a caveat here because I've done, I think I mentioned this, like I have sold $30 million in products and services. I have done thousands and thousands of sales calls. Okay. I've done 4 million online. I've done 2 million more recently just by chat without sales calls. And you will sell more if you sell over like Zoom or you do a call. But there's an expense to it, and it's your calendar, right? You end up filling your whole calendar with all of these sales calls. And so most people then try to solve this by hiring a closer to get your time back. But then people hiring closers aren't sales trainers. And so then the closer isn't going to sell as much or as well as you. And now you're also like a sales manager. And so there's lots of challenges within that as well. I do highly recommend learning the skill of sales. You will close more, but as you mature, there's like a mature model. And if you're an expert and you understand sales, then you might try more leverage. Instead of going one-to-one, you can sell one-to-many. And so that's where the shift is, right? And so this is where you can start to see, right? Every shift is all about leverage. And this is what really allows you to grow a business that works and that is fun. So workshops completely replaced all my sales calls. So instead of calendars stacked with sales calls, I have one 90-minute workshop that I run every Friday. And from there, I am generating about 5 to 10 sales every single week, and I have 0 sales calls on my calendar, right? So it's a huge shift. And the thing to remember with this is that a more mature model is not better at closing. It's just there's better leverage, right? So you will close more deals if you do it over the phone, but or over Zoom, but you don't get as much leverage. Okay, so there's a right time to do that flip. But if you have been around a while and you have sold before and you know what you're doing and you're an actual expert, the workshop is phenomenal. All right. And so these are the 3 shifts that I made to the money model. We went from doing all these funnels to just using Skool. So I have 3 links. That's all that ever, anywhere, anybody ever goes. Okay, I have instead of free only community, I have a free and a paid community. And that has changed all the economics around ads and the money model itself. And then shifting out of sales calls to running workshops has freed up my calendar. Okay, so those three are the big three around the money model. All right, so the third set of shifts happen around the machine itself. And those shifts look like shifting from doing organic content to paid ads. Now, to be truthful about this is a shift that I discovered like 5 years ago. Once I discovered it, I never really went back. The next one is doing short form content to long form, like this YouTube video. I much prefer doing this kind of content. It feels like I can actually provide something of value instead of just trying to hit people's short attention spans. And then thirdly is going from a bloated team that had me be not profitable to building an AI team. And so let's unpack each of these. So the old way is, organic is slow as fuck. Maybe you can relate. Perhaps your reels get a few views, you don't get any reach. And if this is the only way that you are getting clients, you must be struggling. I know there's a small few percent of people who do this really well, but it just is harder and harder. And so very few clients have come from like short form content for me. There are other people who are way better at this, but for me, it's just not, it just doesn't feel good. I don't really love the platform to begin with. And also, 5 years ago, I was banned on Facebook. So I moved to Instagram and I didn't have any audience. So that was what forced me into like learning how to do ads. But I was banned on Facebook and then I was banned on Instagram doing these kind of like short form posts. And that felt very fragile also. And so when I started running paid ads, I could see very clearly like where the clients were coming from. And I also knew exactly how much it would cost. And so that alone made my business way more predictable. And I would rather pay with money than with my time. And once I saw that, that was like clear for me. I'm all in on ads. And where organic fits is like, if an ad brings people into my world, organic content is the stuff that I use to build trust and where people get to know, like, and trust me. And it helps them move along the path towards becoming a paying client. And so I would far rather pay with money than with my time. And that's where the shift is, like moving away from like organic, not away from, but like relying on organic to bring me the clients when I can rely on paid ads much more predictably. Next thing is short form to long form. So short form has always felt unnatural for me. Like, think you gotta get the hook right and capture people's attention. And it just kind of like is exhausting. And I'm not an expert, like I said, around short form, but I have, before even discovering YouTube, I had communities. And so inside of my communities, I mostly did long form content. I just never really done it on YouTube. And so that has always actually worked for me. And I'm not saying that there's not a place for short form. I think that there is very much, especially if you're like growing a brand. And I just don't like it that much. And when I realized like I don't need it, I don't need to be doing short form content. That was like an exhale. Okay, that's great. I can do it because I have something that I want to create, or I do want to get people's attention to drive them towards something. So this going from only short form to moving towards long form, this happened 4 months ago for me when my Instagram account got banned. I moved over to YouTube, and there is a learning curve. I'm not going to lie. I brought a coaching program. I worked with Andrew Kirby. I joined Synthesizer's program specifically because he has 600,000 subscribers on YouTube. He's the YouTube guy. I wanted to learn how to start a channel. And that program was great for doing exactly that. Like very simple, launch it, get it out there. And even in that program, he teaches, have a document, just go through the document like I'm going through right now. Now, over that process, I learned more and I found my own cadence and style. And then I ended up building AI tools to help me do this even better. And so now, when I do a YouTube video, it doesn't feel as heavy as it first did, because I have AI who can help me find ideas, who can help me script, who can help me video edit, create thumbnails, get it published. And so this is a much more enjoyable platform for me. I like talking about bigger ideas and having the space to do that. And it feels more valuable. If this is valuable, if you're still watching, like, subscribe, let me know. And what I can say after doing this for 4 months is, like, without a shadow of a doubt, I have way more better, higher quality clients coming from YouTube than any short form organic content has ever brought me. And how do I know that? Skool, because all of the traffic is documented, like where it comes from. So I know who came from Skool, and I know who came from Instagram. I know who came from ads. And before that was like a blind spot for me, but I can see. And YouTube is great for getting paying clients. Okay. And so the quality is much higher. Line on this is short form made me visible. Long form has made me trusted. And really it's like, I'm able to build better relationships with people because people are spending more time with me. So, this is the shift from short form over to long form. And then lastly is around the machine that runs this whole thing, is going from a bloated team to a lean AI team. All right. So, when your model has no leverage, the obvious solution is hire people to run your non-leveraged systems. Except if you hire people and there's no profit margin, it doesn't really work. Okay. I hired people to get my time back, but I also, I lacked the leadership skills, because there's a whole new skill set that's required when you're going to build a team. And so if you think you're going to go from an expert in whatever your field or practice or whatever you practice to then being like a leader who can manage and run a team, there is like new skills that you have to learn. And I didn't have those yet. And so for that reason, we struggled. And the team was great and we hit 6 figures, but it wasn't efficient and it wasn't profitable. And so it ended up being bloated and complicated, and that is my fault. And I didn't have the skills and I didn't know how to build them fast enough. I was like, oh, that's a problem. I should learn how to do this. And I couldn't figure out how to do it before the next payroll came around. So the shift, 9 months ago, it was let everybody go, simplify everything, focus with building AI first. And what ended up happening was I have better systems, I have more clarity, more simplicity, and now it all works. Okay. And so big part of it was I tested things. I got explicit about what I needed to have happen, how I needed it to have happen. And AI is really great for that. And, and so before, I'd have 6-figure months with the old team, but it was inefficient and it wasn't lean and it wasn't profitable. Current model, I have 1 executive assistant and I have a team of AI agents, and we are very profitable. All right. And so I didn't need a bigger team. I just needed simpler solutions. That's another thing. If you go trying to hire a team before you have the simple systems in place, you are going to scale chaos. And so these are the 3 things around the machine: was going from organic to paid ads, going from short form to long form, and going from a bloated team to an AI team. All right. And last up, what it's all actually for. All right. And the 2 shifts here that I made that make everything else work was getting clear on this first. Previously, my idea was like, business is the game I'm playing, and the point is just to scale as big and as fast as you can. This is the game of entrepreneurship. This is the whole point. And it was all consuming. And the shift is that that's not the point for me. It might be the point for you or for other people who want to build a business that maybe they want to sell one day. But for me, I'm actually just trying to build a lifestyle where I get to spend time with my kids, right? And then the second one is, am I going to build this business with a focus on the self, right? Validating myself and, being unconscious of my own wounds that I'm trying to, resolve? Or am I going to build a business and build my life with my focus on God? And these two make everything else work. All right. So the old way is infinite scale. You see Hormozi's books, like $100 million idea. You're like, okay, how am I ever going to do that? Never questioning what's the cost. What is the cost of going after that goal that isn't even mine in the first place? And so the shift was getting really clear on like, what is it that I want? What do I want my lifestyle to be like now? Not looking at some external person or external goal or trying to prove myself. I'm just playing my own game. I'm building my own business in my own way. And when I got really clear on that I'm not trying to build some business that I'm trying to sell someday. I'm trying to build a business that can support my life so that I can spend it with my kids. Then that was a big shift. And so now it looks like 4 days a week and 102K months without sales calls, funnels, or a bloated team. And that is by design. If you look at my calendar, and when I say 4 days a week, it's like I only have 2 days a week where I'm actually working with clients. And then on Fridays, I run a workshop. And occasionally, like I have to catch up a couple meetings, maybe people miss, or the only other day. But it's mostly 2 working days and a workshop day. The rest are open for me to create. And I enjoy my work. It's not like I'm trying to work less. Like I could work all the time. But I just have other things that I'm interested and passionate about. Okay, so the point isn't to build an empire you can escape from, but to build a life that you don't want to escape. Or not some like future promise also, like, oh, one day when I sell my business, then it will all be good or something like that. It's like you can build a lifestyle business relatively quickly and create your dream lifestyle if you're clear on what that is. Okay. And then lastly is the old way was recognizing the self-serving wounded boy trying to validate himself as good enough and worthy. That's why I love competitions with trophies. Okay. And realizing how much of my business was a compensation for unconscious wounds. There's like a kind of a truth that after a certain point growing any business probably, you need a lot less strategy and a lot more therapy. And I think that's incredibly true. All right. So the shift here has nothing to do with business. It has everything to do with success and defining what success is and putting God first. I had an old pastor who used to say, when you put God first, life goes best. And I think it took me like 25 years to actually understand that. But I get it. And what it looks like is being in conversation with the Holy Spirit, like in an everyday kind of way. Like, hey, what's up? What do you have me do now? I surrender. Holy Spirit, reveal yourself. It's a beautiful way to live. You're not doing it alone. And being able to see through the lies of your own eyes, like the judgments that are all just right there. If you can just invite Holy Spirit to like guide you, to help you be able to see, there's a beautiful world just on the other edge of the veil of like all of our judgments and the surface. All right. Being led by the intuitive nudge of like your own unique life purpose. Why are you here? What are you doing? And like trusting your own intuition. I think this is something that happens with maturity. Like you've been around long enough to know the distinction of like which voice is which in your own head. And by putting God first, my life goes best. Okay, that's the line. When you put God first in the business, when you put it in your life, in your relationships, everything goes much better. Okay, so let me just do a recap. These are, 4 big ideas, and there's 9 shifts that have made all the difference for me growing this business. I hope this is helpful for you. Again, if you want this resource, it's inside the free community. The link is in the description. You can talk to AI Dan, but those 9 shifts were from focusing on revenue to focusing on profit, from building all these complicated funnels to just building in Skool, to going from a free only to having a paid offer, which changes the whole dynamics around ads, going from sales calls to going into workshops for more leverage and time. And with the machine, organic to paid ads, going from short form to long form, and going from a bloated team to an AI highly leveraged team. And by the way, I'm not saying like one over the other. I'm just saying like a focus point. Like I still do organic content. This is organic content. This is long form content. But letting these be the primary focus, paid ads, long form, and an AI team. I still have a team, but I have an AI team who does all the work. All right. And recognizing and getting clear on like, what is it actually for? Right? Forgetting the infinite scale for the sake of scaling and focusing on like, what do I actually want? And that gap is actually a lot closer than you might think. And above everything is having God be the focal point. Why are we doing any of this? We die. So with all that said, that's it for this video. I'm very curious to see what, if anything, shifts with Hormozi. I'm very grateful for his work. I think he's amazing. If you are more mature or you have kids and you're looking for a better model, you can click the links underneath to learn more about these models working with me. And thanks for watching. All right, see you in the next one.